According to Beyoncé, girls run the world. According to Kathleen Kennedy, they're about to rule something much bigger. A galaxy far, far away.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Star Wars Celebration is the magical time when all sorts of information about the Star Wars universe and its future is announced. With Celebration being such a high-profile event, fans and the press get access to even the most exclusive Star Wars celebrities. This one, Kathleen Kennedy, is probably the most famous face associated with the franchise to never appear on screen. George Lucas and Jon Favreau are in Star Wars, but Kathleen Kennedy is thankfully not. While she may have no presence on screen, Kathleen Kennedy is definitely the force behind some of Star Wars' less savory moments. Her contributions to the property are numerous, and now it's time for more. Speaking with IGN's Alex Stedman during Star Wars Celebration 2023, Kennedy was asked, "I just want to see if there's any major hope that you want to strive for this kind of new era in Star Wars that you just announced today." Kennedy replied, "It's as I said, I think quality is always everything. We want to tell resonating stories that really speak to what Star Wars is. I don't really want it, and none of us want it to become like everything else," she concluded. "We want it to be something that continues to live up to the expectation that fans have, and that's the most important to all of us." It's unclear what Kennedy actually means by quality, given her entire tenure as president of Lucasfilm has produced objectively poor quality films and television shows. The biggest black eye is Rian Johnson's directed The Last Jedi. The film has a poor 6.9 review score on IMDb. It's even more abysmal with a 42% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, with moviegoers giving the film an average of 2.6 out of 5. Star Wars isn't just getting negative reactions towards its feature films, but its flagship TV series The Mandalorian is now receiving the worst user scores it's ever received. And that was by design, despite Kennedy's claims she's focusing on quality. Ahead of the release of The Force Awakens, Kennedy made an appearance at Fortune magazine's Most Powerful Women Summit in 2015, where she laid out her plan to fundamentally change Star Wars. During her appearance, Kennedy revealed how she quickly changed the demographics of the company once she took over. Kennedy said, "The fact that the company was bought by the Walt Disney Company has been amazing because they very much support the fact that we're trying to grow in the workforce a number of women in executive positions and all positions inside the company, and with the movies that we're making and with the protagonists that we're putting in the stories. So I get a huge amount of support with that," she continued. She then touted, "But we have 50% of our executive team are women, and 6 out of 8 people in my story group are women, and I'm sure a lot of the people would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies and the majority of the people involved in the development are women. I think it's making a huge difference in the Star Wars stories we're trying to tell." On top of admitting to fundamentally changing the people who worked at the company, Kennedy also detailed the company had changed how they would market the franchise, as well as switching from primarily boys and men to women and girls. She detailed, "I think the interesting path that we've had in this conversation that took place around the consumer products, because there were a lot of companies that were in place who frankly didn't feel Star Wars was for girls." Kennedy went on, "And when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we are all looking at the situation saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products that are in a sense appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that?" Appealing to both demographics is exactly what every business strives for. However, Star Wars is hyper-focused on the female demographic to the point where they've lost their original core group. Star Wars has always appealed to both males and females. Traditionally, Star Wars was a force to be reckoned with on store shelves. At one time, Star Wars merchandise was so popular that it would receive midnight releases. Today, Star Wars merchandise is a part of Ollie's discount retail outlet. During Kathleen Kennedy's tenure, Star Wars fell from greatness to insignificance. We here at WCBS have documented all of that in real time, so subscribe to this channel and check out our archives for all those videos and a whole lot more. It's incredibly difficult to discuss the facts without baseless claims of misogyny raising their ugly heads. But the numbers don't paint the same picture Kathleen Kennedy is selling to IGN. The sequel trilogy didn't resonate with audiences the way the other trilogies did, but that's not stopping Lucasfilm from giving fans more from the ladies. Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy says that Ahsoka, the Acolyte, and Daisy Ridley's just-announced Star Wars movie, directed by Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, signal that more women-led projects set in a galaxy far, far away are on the horizon. "We don't set out to say, okay, this is going to be a project led by women. It evolves that way," Kennedy continues, "and I'm pleasantly surprised to see there's a balance in the Force. Let's put it that way. Because in everything that we've been doing, I think that we have attracted some really strong women both in front of and behind the camera, and that's been thrilling. Oh, I think there's a lot of interesting characters that can evolve," says Kennedy. "We're starting obviously with Rey, but trust me, Charmaine will have some great ideas as to what we put forward. I don't want to step on her toes, but she is working on some really interesting new characters." Kennedy claims that more women in front of and behind the camera is organic, but her earlier words from 2015 tell a different story. This was Kathleen Kennedy's directive the entire time, to change Star Wars. Appealing to women is more important, but Star Wars already did that. It already had a diverse fan base with people from all over the world. There's no way it could have made billions of dollars if only men watched it. When released in 1977, Star Wars was a cultural phenomenon, like Avatar. Where's the conversation about making Avatar appeal to more women? They only talk about how much money it made. We haven't had that conversation about Star Wars in a long time. A long time. Star Wars needs to gain new fans to survive. Not just a certain type of fan, Kathleen. Remember, Star Wars is for everybody. So folks, I want to know what you think about this. As you know, we here at WCBS have documented all of the merchandise failures from Star Wars. It's interesting to take an interview from 2015 with her directive and then look at 2023 and see how well she succeeded or failed. On the merchandise front, Star Wars failed objectively. There is no way to try to paint a different picture. Historically, every Star Wars movie had a toy line, except the most recent one, The Rise of Skywalker, because the toys from The Last Jedi didn't sell and the toys from The Force Awakens didn't sell. There's a reason why today, in 2023, you can still walk into certain stores and find old Star Wars merchandise on the shelves. I'm not talking vintage stuff, I'm talking about stuff from the Disney era, from The Force Awakens through today. Why is it still at your local Kroger? Because no one bought it. These toys aren't sitting there on the shelves because they keep reordering them. They put out new toys all the time, so they don't really just keep re-releasing the same ones. You don't need Rey from Episode 7 when you got Rey from Episode 8. That's not how the toys are distributed. The ones you see on the shelves have been sitting there for years, and the ones that are in the clearance outlets just all of a sudden popping up means the toys have been sitting somewhere on a dock, on a back shelf, in a back room somewhere not selling for like 7 years, and now they're being put out because somebody decided to buy them at a fraction of their cost and sell them to make a profit. That's not good business for Star Wars. It's good business for other places, but since Kathleen Kennedy's been in charge, they've overproduced the wrong type of merchandise. Go back and watch our videos about Toys R Us closing. Everything else was selling in the store, but man, there were about 75 Jyn Erso action figures and all sorts of things that just weren't moving. And it wasn't just one Toys R Us, I went all over my region. Everything from the new Star Wars movies was failing to sell. That's why, after The Rise of Skywalker ended, Star Wars merchandise focused on two things, the past and The Mandalorian. Mandalorian was successful. People gravitated towards Baby Yoda, and people enjoyed the show for the most part as a whole. The Star Wars merchandise is finally back in the black again. There are articles that we reported on from CNBC from 2017 on talking about how Hasbro's partner brands were down in the toilet. They would never give specific answers in the articles because that's exactly what they said, but partner brands included Star Wars. So when you look at those numbers going down with the shelves full of toys that no one's buying yet, other things were moving. You got a problem. And this is all pre-pandemic too. This isn't a new problem for Star Wars as we're trying to get the world started again. No, this happened starting in 2017. So this is an old problem, and Kathleen Kennedy's trying to take this old garbage, shine it up real nice, and, well, you know what The Rock would do with that. And, well, to quote another wrestler, that's all I got to say about that. So, folks, thank you for watching. I'll be back next time with more. But in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.